All right. I guess we can start slowly by introducing who's on the call today. Well, first of all, welcome everyone, and thanks again for joining us today. I'm your host, Theptilla, and I have George, our co founder of Step, here with me. George, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always good to be here on these calls. Slash, I think we're doing these more often, which is good. I think the more often frequency for these community calls with Step, we can talk about stuff that's more reactive to what's happening right now. Whether that's, I don't know, some crazy thing going off in crypto or any announcements that we have at Step and so on. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Same here. I'm very excited about the questions today, and you're right. We have so much going on. Uh, the market related, step related, the new acquisition, Solana Floor related. So I'm very excited. So let's get this started then. George, we had Waza join us during our last call, and we talked about Solana Floor acquisition and what is in store for Step. Maybe we can talk about that a bit and get some updates from you. How has that been going for Step and your team?
Yeah, it's been good. I think the last discussion that we had with Waza was super good. So if anyone hasn't seen that already, Thep, do we have that on either the YouTube or somewhere
But
where people can check out?
yeah, we have it on YouTube and as well as on Twitter. We can also tweet about that and remind people that.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. So if you haven't already, definitely check out that one. So that was our announcement really of the Solana Floor acquisition. Look, things are going really well. Uh, a lot of what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks is just sort of getting a lay of the land of, like I said in the previous discussion, like our focus since we started Step has been on the DeFi world. We don't know the ins and outs of the NFT world. We're learning quickly, but that takes time, right? So a lot of it has to be like whether it's discussing like internally with the team about how the tech might work, how that might merge. Might be talking with all the different Solana Floor partners that already exist. Many of the paying projects that are customers of Solana Floor. So that's what's been happening over the last few weeks as we've been reaching out to them. We've been formulating a strategy of what we're going to do going forward with a lot of that, and yeah, just sort of getting started with things really. I see Chris as well on the call, our head of growth. Chris has been instrumental in reaching out to a lot of those projects as well. So that's been really good. So yeah, look, I think the focus for us over the next few weeks going forward now is we have a sort of, I guess, a new playbook that we're going to be trialing out with a lot of these NFT projects that are already paying customers of Solana Floor. We have a couple of cool features in the works as well. And I was just on a call, was it last night sometime? I can't remember. But it was about some of these different cool things which people are requesting for Solana Floor. So I guess you can expect more development updates there. And yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Absolutely. So, like you said, there's the DeFi people and the NFT people live in two different worlds, right? So now that we have the Solana Floor joined us, there are many things that our current audience could actually, learn from understanding more about how that works. So my next few questions will be relating to that. Could you tell us about the NFT project that Solana Floor has, which is called She Guards? I'm sorry, She Guardians. Can you tell us about that and how the subscription model work for Solana Floor?
Yeah, so the She Guardians are currently the ways to access a pro plan on Solana Floor. And that's been something which has been around for quite a while now. There's a lot of active pro users who are holders of those NFTs. Um, Look, in general, we like there's a lot of things that we can do with Solana Floor, and not all of them are related to like things which we deliver to pro users. So, for example, if the customer is a project, let's say, like they are not a paying user of the NFT. So we might have a separate deal with projects as we do with individual people, which are holders of the NFTs. Really, the holders of the NFTs we kind of see as like examples of either retail users or just everyday people like yourselves. And it's I think that the different product offerings that we have for those two people need to be different. So TLDR is a lot of the things which we want to add going forward with Solana Floor are going to be things which affect everyone. As well as we have some more media related stuff for the projects, which probably won't sort of directly impact the Guardian holders or anything like that. But it will add value to everything that Solana Floor is doing, and ultimately Step as well. So anyway, two different business models currently trying to merge and sort of find out what is the best way forward for them. But yeah, at the end of the day, we still have valuable stuff to do with whatever type of customer we're talking to.
Yeah, yeah. You talked about the merge. That was going to be my next question. So now that we have Solana Floor joined us, this begs the question about how's the community, Solana Floor community, going to be handling their Discord? Is there any plans on merging them, or the sites potentially? What should Step and Solana Floor followers expect?
Yeah, so if you go into the Solana Floor Discord right now, you'll see there is a ton of channels, especially if you're a holder of the NFT, or if you're interested in different parts of that ecosystem. I know there's like a mods chat as well, and other
Mm-hmm.
things going on there. There is a lot of channels, right? So I don't think it would make sense to add like an additional 30 channels to the Step Discord and say, oh, everyone should go over here now and we can all talk about stuff. I don't think that would work. And I don't know. I'm not quite sold on it yet. So I think, look, Solana Floor community it's a interesting community that knows all about NFTs, and that's the focus.
Right.
And that's, I think, hugely valuable. So we should preserve that. So at the moment, there's no plans of merging the Discords. I don't think that would really benefit anyone at the moment. Hey, we'll just sort of take it as it goes. Maybe that changes over time. Not sure, but I think the way that it looks right now is, yeah, it probably doesn't make sense to sort of force everyone to go one way or the other. So that's good. Solana Floor community, that should be a place that you go to talk about NFTs, and Step can be everything else that Step does, whether it's the analytics, the data portfolio, whatever. That can be sort of Step's sort of wheelhouse. So that's where I sort of see things going forward there. The websites, I think I mentioned before that the time horizon is probably by the end of the year, we'll be in a different situation with the Step product itself. So the Step product itself will have more analytic stuff going on, very exciting things there, which we can talk about soon. But ultimately, by the end of the year, it'll be a question of, do we move some of the analytics stuff from Solana Floor to Step? I'm not in a rush to do that, to be honest. The first priority for us is we've got to get the data up for a lot of the DeFi focused things. And that's our priority right now, and smashing out that MVP and getting that out there, and the subscription plan and all this kind of stuff. Once that's ticking over nicely, then we can go, okay, does it make sense to move some of the data analytics stuff from the NFT world over? And then in that case, when that happens, the sort of what will happen to the Solana Floor website will be that it will sort of become more of maybe a media focused company, maybe a community sort of focused location, because right now it has a lot of clout in the NFT community, and we really like that, and we want to preserve that, and we want to grow that. And Solana Floor is a place where people go to discuss all sorts of NFT projects, not just like a single project that might be doing something. So it is kind of that one place, kind of like Step, that you can have maybe a neutral perspective across the entire market. So I think that's valuable. So we want to preserve that, and we want to like foster that and improve that. And I think the way to do that is to build Solana Floor into something that has more tools for people to be able to express that. And maybe the data might live in various places as time goes on, but there's no sort of impetus for us to immediately change things up right now. I'm not in a big rush to do that. But yeah, the priorities has to be, we have to preserve the Solana Floor community and everything that's going on there, and grow it, and continue to add more cool stuff for it.
That absolutely makes sense. Um, okay, let's talk about the Solana Floor's blue chip index. How can it be used to track Sol NFT market at a glance? Could you talk to that?
Yeah, the NFT index I think is really cool. So we have on Solana Floor now the blue chip index. The blue chip index is, well, like all indexes, it's a weighted summary of all of the, I think it's the top 20 projects. I might be wrong, could be top 25, something like that. Um, the top NFT projects and the price of all of them. So it's a way to track how the general consensus of the Solana NFT community is going, really. So it in that just that is a useful tool, and people really like it. From the feedback that we've looked at, people really like this as just sort of a generalized tool to see how things are going. Has there been a bear market in NFTs? Are things going up? Are they going down? Whatever. Right now, it's really just a chart and a number. I think there's maybe more that we can do with that. I think it's maybe a separate product that we might be able to sell and build out to other places. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, yeah, can it evolve into something else? Could it be an on-chain data feed? That would be exciting. Um, and then, yeah, your imagination can run wild once that happens. But yeah, look, I think in and of itself, indexes are cool. They give useful information about the market in different verticals, which people might care about. In this case, Solana NFTs. Don't think there is a comparable product anywhere else in the market. So yeah, look, it's a valuable thing, and we've spoken to a couple of people already about integrating the index into their products, and look, there's interest for that. So yeah, for us, we need to build it out. So that's just another thing on the list, which is super interesting that we want to do stuff with. So yeah, check out the blue chip index if you can.
Absolutely. I love hearing the updates about Solana Floor. And I'm learning as we go too, so it's very exciting. Um, I guess I want to talk about the current market conditions next. Maybe we can start with some of the most recent news. I would like to hear your perspective on stuff that's happening. Um, what are your thoughts on the Tornado Cash sanction, and where do you think the privacy protocols on Solana, maybe such as Otter Cash and Light Protocol, headed?
Yeah, so I haven't used any of the privacy protocols just yet on Solana. I probably should though. I know Otter Cache has been around for quite a while. By quite a while, I probably in like 6 months. Um, I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty much like a mixer. But the problem with Tornado has always been that it's very expensive to do anything, or at least last time I looked at Tornado that was when Ethereum gas prices were really high. It was like $100 just to move money into there or something. So anyway, I think privacy protocols on Solana have a long way to go. Pretty exciting as well. Like I think Anatoly today was tweeting about ZK rollups that could use like essentially the output of a transaction can be different to the import or something along those lines. So it makes obfuscation of transactions much easier. I think that's the way that you pronounce that word, by the way. But yeah, I think it's look, a lot of cool stuff. Haven't used it. Probably needs more development. Super exciting to see what happens in that space. Maybe there's some sort of like mixer for send transactions. Maybe it's kind of like a contract which holds your coins in escrow, and then you can move it to another address that then can extract it from within that escrow. Like that, all of that kind of stuff would be pretty cool. Maybe using like the ZK snarks, like the proof that something happened without having to display the entire proof that it happened, but having finality of it. So, stuff like that, I think would be super beneficial and in line with Solana's speed, essentially. It's very hard to do these things elsewhere. Often you have to sort of resort to an L2 on Ethereum to do some of this stuff. So, yeah, look, exciting stuff. Tornado Cash, hey, it was probably always going to come. I don't know why people were surprised with it. I just think it's kind of funny because it kind of shows how boomers don't get anything. Like you can just fork like Tornado Cash right now, and then all of a sudden it's totally new contract address, and all of a sudden we're no longer on the OFAC list. Oh, cool! And so that's the first thing. Second thing is This doesn't prevent North Koreans using it. They can literally go and use it right now. Last time I checked yesterday, there was a bunch of people using Tornado Cash. So yeah, I don't think these kind of overreactions, or I guess sort of regulatory responses to things which maybe don't understand how crypto works, really. That's maybe what's going on here. I'm sure they sort of understand that these things might be possible, but then it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Are you just going to do an announcement every month of declaring that all of the different forks are now invalid, and you're going to keep up? And okay, people can fork something for zero cost and it will take like 2 minutes. Whereas for a government agency to go and research things and get approvals and blah blah takes a lot more effort. So yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens there. But I don't think anyone really sort of takes too much heed of that tornado situation.
That's right. How about the slope wallet exploit? I actually would love to hear your perspective on this one. As we all know, it created a huge buzz where people started blaming the Solana network for it. In your opinion, how can we overcome the spread of the misinformation in situations like this, as we heard so many doom scenarios?
Yeah, it was just another example of people getting on the Twitter hate train with no facts or knowledge or anything. Um, it was also like an unknown quantity for maybe the first like 20 hours or so. People were saying, "Oh, my Phantom wallet, my money disappeared," and then people were saying my Slope wallet, and then they were just using the word wallet, so nobody really knew which wallet they were talking about.
Right.
So it eventually came out that it was the Slope wallet itself, and the way that people were sharing keys or like copy pasting the seed phrases between them or something like that. So it was literally nothing to do with Phantom, nothing to do with Solana, anything like this. It was just people that had particularly used that wallet on mobile that were affected. So, but of course, the retweets 3 days later, when the situation becomes clear, it is nowhere near as much as when it happens in the moment. So I don't know. Maybe a lot of people went away from that with a different story in their minds. But look, I think all you can do is just, you don't want to jump to conclusions when a hack or something like this happens, but you have to at least have and share some sort of information with the community. And I think people did that for the largest extent, but then there was also some people which, I mean, didn't care. Regardless, they're just going to meme and post stuff, and people are going to reply to that and respond to it and quote tweet it. So anyway, it is what it is. I don't think anyone really cares about it. It's not really too detrimental, I don't think, to things. And I mean, like previously, a couple of days prior to that, we had a bridge of 200 million exploited, which was 200 million worth of ERC20 tokens, by the way. And then this one was something like 4 million, so, or 5 million or something like that. So if we were to put things in perspective, there's quite a big difference there.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that because everybody was freaking out because, first of all, we didn't know the extent of how long it was going to last, and I get that. But then, when you look at the damage, I hate to measure it with another exploit, but it was not as big as, what we're used to in this market. Okay, but my next question is going to be about altcoin performance. I think we've all seen that altcoins have been showing some strength versus Bitcoin over the last couple of maybe weeks. Why do you think that is, and where do you see us in the market cycle now?
Look, if you want trading insights, I'm probably not the person to ask or anything like that. But I don't know. Like, all I can say is right now, we kind of clearly in a bear market this year. What does that mean? Well, there's less activity, less users pressing buttons, less people doing things. I think every different protocol is seeing that and has experienced like a massive drop off.
Right.
And look, these things happen. And we've also seen consolidation. We've seen protocols disappear. So I think that will probably continue to happen. Now, yeah, like a lot of these alts, people sort of lose interest during these times. Again, this always happens. The same sort of deal in 2018, 2019, and then, of course, many times before that. But yeah, I think all projects really need to focus on is just keep building useful stuff that people want to use, right? And that should be your primary focus. And if you do that, then all of this other nonsense doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant at the end of the day. And another thing that I like to look at is like which teams are obsessed with trying to like conjure up ways to manipulate the price and to do these different things. We saw a lot of that with things like curve wars and all of this locking, and then people would have all of these different incentive schemes for staking coins and doing stuff. Saw a lot of that last year. You don't see as much of it now because I think people realize that you can do that in the moment, but then when the shit really hits the fan, nobody cares about that anymore. Oh, I've got this locking mechanism that's 4 years, and you can lock 50% of supply. Cool. That doesn't prevent things happening and token price going down 90%. And pretty much everything in the market all of the alts have done that. So, what conclusion can we draw from this is, look, these sort of temporary things that people try and do to prop up prices here and there, they're only temporary and they don't really do anything in the long term. The longest term and the best thing you can do is to just build a good product that people use. And then if you do that and you can have a protocol which captures that value somehow, then the protocol, the token holders can benefit from that. So that's what we got to do. That's all we want to do. So yeah, that's all I can say.
That's great. And I want to add to that. To me, bear markets are great to accumulate the coins that you want to accumulate, right? And in this case, step is for me one, and you also it's the perfect timing to understand which teams are working, and they will work regardless of the market conditions. And I mean, look at Step acquiring other projects and keep pushing updates and stuff like that, and that applies to other projects too, not just Step. But this is when you understand which projects are going to be still around during the next cycle. So gotta love the bear market. All right, well, maybe we talk about the recent updates on Step.finance now, George. I personally am loving the load time update. Maybe you can talk to us about the recent UI updates?
Yeah, for sure. So yesterday we went out with a new update, which was really cool. We had support for Star Atlas, new notifications. We can now see routes on the swap page as well, which I'm really liking. I really like that swap page. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff that we're sort of refining at the moment. On the speed updates again are super important. Probably like 4 months ago, we were in a bit of a bind where we really had to move a lot of these kind of things which we were doing on-chain RPC calls for every single time people wanted information. And that was really slowing down the app. So it would take quite a while for your wallet to load, especially if you had a lot of positions. And then if we're adding more integrations and more pools and more different things, if we do that, yet let's say the same amount of people are connected to the website, the amount of on-chain calls continues to grow. So we needed to optimize that somehow. And what we've been doing is we've been moving a lot of those calls to the back end. And also coming up soon, you'll be able to sort of see some of the fruition of that with some of the indexing stuff as well. Not only are we moving these things to the back end, but this is a good example of situations where we can help to essentially save a lot of that data and be able to use it later. So that's good. But it also just means that individual wallets, when you connect, you're not doing a million on-chain calls for everything all the time. So wallets load a lot quicker. And that's really good, especially good for mobile users as well. We've seen that that's one thing which has improved quite a lot. So the load time, we have a couple of test wallets. So the Step test wallets, because we have to integrate with everyone, we have wallets that are like in literally everything. So that means all these different protocols, so like 50 different DeFi protocols or whatever, all of these different pools, staking here and there, yield farms, whatever. We have a lot of different things going on, and those wallets can or were almost unusable, a couple of months ago. But now you could load that on a mobile and it'll work fine, and you'll be able to load all of your positions really quickly. So that's kind of the benchmark that we use, is the absolute worst case scenario. Like a lot of these performance things, they lead into our indexing, and then now that we've moved quite a lot, I think, of the a lot of the different sort of calls that we're doing on chain to the back end now. The person to ask about that is get in our Discord, and at Aaron, who's also listening to this chat, he'll be able to tell you about that. But yeah, look, I think I don't know. I was going to put a percentage on it, but actually, I don't know the number. So I'm just going to say a lot of stuff has been moved to the back end and made a lot quicker recently. And yeah, I'm glad that people are seeing the difference.
Absolutely. As a step user, I do see the difference. And as you know, on our Discord, we have a lot of people commenting all, on the updates that we recently did. So, all right. So I want to talk about the Data Insights newsletter. The subscribers for the Data Insights newsletter are growing by the day. What has been the community's response?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this previously yesterday on the Friction hangout that we did there. Essentially, I think it's a really good talking point. The Data Insights newsletter is something that you can use as a reference for stuff. So I spoke about yesterday about the Data Insights, being able to move the Step brand more towards data in general, not just, oh, it's just a portfolio page, bro. It's like, no, it's actually a lot more than that, and it has been for a while. So so the Data Insights newsletter certainly helps with that, but also as a talking point, it helps create conversations. So we've had a couple of, like, we had the post about the comparison between OpenSea and Magic Eden recently. We had a couple of others about on-chain liquid staking protocols, so like Lido and MSol and stuff like that. So these kind of things, I think we've been able to showcase like what on-chain data can do and what kind of insights you can get from it. So it could be like, oh, by the way, the average Magic Eden user does 7 times the amount of transactions as the average OpenSea user. So what does that tell you about the NFT market? Well, it probably tells you that the Solana sort of activity is a way higher, but also the users are more engaged. And why are they more engaged? And is that something which is going to be a long-term trend? And that means that if you onboard a user on Solana who's transacting on NFTs, they're much more likely to be more active and doing more things and essentially contributing more in royalty fees, by the way, to these different projects than someone who was doing that on Ethereum. So that itself might be an insight. And then from that, if you had an investing mindset, and this sort of comes back to the people, like there's different tiers of people that are going to consume this data from the newsletter or elsewhere, and you're going to have like just sort of average people like ourselves, like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of like how I think of it for a lot of things. But then also people are like, okay, I'm a trader, I have a fund, I have money to deploy. What can I A, I'm probably going to pay for these insights. B, what can I learn to sort of give me an edge in trading it? And it might be that given these insights, maybe they go, well, maybe this particular protocol seems like it's going to perform well because that's the direction which the data is taking it. So yeah, look, stuff like that. I think the newsletter is doing well. People seem to like it. We're always looking for more on-chain analysts. So if there are any out there either listening now or the recording that we're going to upload soon, and if you're listening to this there, if that is your forte, on-chain data analysis, do get in touch. We're looking for more peeps there. So yeah, keep us posted. But yeah,
Always be hiring, George. That was
that's
my
it.
that was my next question, actually. The Step team is always hiring and growing. So how many employees does Step have now, and are you still clearly you want to add more people, but how long will this last? Do you think Step team is going to grow and grow and grow, or is there a cap to it? Can you talk to us about that?
I don't know. Like, I think at the moment we have something like 15 full-time people, and we've got a couple part-timers as well. So the team is getting quite large now. We also have to think about how we work in a much larger team. It's much different to, when it's just a couple of us on the internet. Now there's quite a lot more people involved. So recently we onboarded a new QA manager, TJ. So he's people might see him in Discord all over the place, which is very cool. So he's been helping out a lot on the QA side. So super happy about that. But that's a good example of, look, the general mantra is, if someone is really exceptional, then you should probably hire them. And that sort of goes for a lot of things, because these kind of people are going to be multipliers for the rest of the team. So we don't really sort of put any sort of caps or sort of, I mean, there is some sort of cap, like we can't just go and spend $1 billion on hiring the world, but in general, like if someone is exceptional, we're definitely happy to have a chat. So that's sort of the thinking around it. We just want to build a team of awesome people, and I think that's what we're doing. There's probably a couple more people that might be looking to join pretty soon, that I've been talking to as well recently. So we'll see there. But yeah, at the moment, I think we're pretty good with things. We also don't want to, like, I like how FTX grew FTX with only a couple of people. Like, I don't think people realize a couple of years ago, FTX was like 2 or 3 devs, literally. So they built one of the world's largest exchanges from that. So, and then you've got other exchanges out there that are hiring like 500 people, like Coinbase and Binance. Binance has thousands of people employed. So, and then you've got people like FTX, which I think even now, I don't know what SBF said the team is now, but it's not big. So yeah, like,
Do you
got to
remember
be.
with our
Go ahead.
money? Sorry, remember we touched on that during our AMA with our money, where he talked about he believes in smaller teams and all that, and he talked about how many people started Serum and FTX.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example of it. So you don't need 1 million people to achieve a task, but you just need like good people. So yeah, we're always happy to anyone that's awesome. Please get in touch.
Absolutely. So okay, how about the $5 million fund to acquire companies? I know it started with Solana Floor now. I'm wondering if you're eyeing any other projects, and if you are, what are you looking for in the project that will join Step?
Yeah, so the fund always had a focus, and that was from day one. We want to invest in, offer grants, or acquire projects which are related to the field of Solana data. So that's still our focus. That's still the focus of what we're looking for. I think I mentioned this a while back. We have had discussions in the past from a bunch of different teams. SolanaFloor is clearly the standout, and that's why that happened.
Right.
But yeah, we're sort of, I don't know, we're open. Like, I don't think there's going to be a ton of new things happening on this front. Like, these things take time is the first thing. Second thing, there's only a finite amount of protocols that you can really go and approach and ask. So we have sort of mentioned it to a couple. There's maybe a few people interested. Kind of want to see how the bear market plays out as well. We'll see if more people might be willing to do that. So yeah, look, we'll see how things go. So nothing really new on that front, but the door is always open. Always looking for good data projects on Solana. If I was to think of any different data verticals, I don't know really at the moment. Like, there's a lot of indexing projects. There's NFTs, obviously, Solana Floor, Step, DeFi. Yeah, put a comment down below if you think there's an underserved vertical related to data in Solana. I'd be interested to. I know there's a couple of people that have popped up recently with serum related stuff, and that's something which we've also. I mean, Step will be doing a lot of that as well. But things like, yeah, showing you the liquidity on order books, the number of trades that are happening, number of people buying versus selling. What does that even mean? There's a lot of cool metrics that you can discern from that, and I think there's a couple of people doing that. So that's cool to see. So yeah.
Awesome. I guess this is my last question to you, George. Is there any alpha that you would like to share with our followers today? And one last thing is, are there any new additions to Step followers should look forward to? I know there might be something that you want to share with us here.
Can you think of anything, Thep, that we haven't already spoken about? But look, I think
Learn section.
For us, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe learn section you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is a thing. So firstly, onboarding new people into crypto is important. Cool, check. Next is, how do you do that? Well, educational resources. Okay, what does that mean? Educational resources can mean like the guides, kind of like the Binance Academy, which I think is a great sort of benchmark for people. I'm sure that has helped a lot of people. In fact, I know it has because I've spoken to many of the different Binance people over the years, and yeah, they have a lot of people working on that, which is great. So educational content in the form of guides. There's also videos, that people do. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do educational content. I really like the Kraken's way that they do it with I think it's learn.kraken.com or something. It's just a nice page that people can go to, and it has just a lot of links to resources that can help people learn about what's going on. So that is something that we've been working on Step, and we should have that going live pretty soon, I think, with a cool intro video, which everyone will see soon. So that'll be going live soon. But it's generally just a way to introduce people. Like we say, if Step's going to be this front page of Solana, then we also need to be an educational page for Solana as well. And I think there's also opportunities there for us to partner with different projects to talk about what they're doing. So it's not going to be a page like, hey, look at us, look at me, step. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's actually going to be open to everyone. So we definitely want to, as I said, partner with other projects and get their stories told. And, maybe that might be guides or content or something like that. And be that place that the ecosystem goes to as a reference for stuff. Because like I said, if you're a reference point, it's a conversation starter. So, and that's good in a lot of ways. So yeah, we want to deploy that learn page very soon. I think we're almost ready with that. Like, I don't know, a week or less, something like that. Maybe.
Yes. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, George?
No closing thoughts, I don't think. Look, these community calls are great. They're going to be recorded. We want to do them more often. We're doing more of them with other teams as well. So yes, that's going to be good. I'm just looking at some of the comments as well. Sci-fi stuff, Bloomberg Terminal for Sol. Look, okay, Bloomberg Terminal for Sol. Lots of different charts. Basically, that's maybe one thing I can talk about. We have been speaking about some of the different charts that we might be able to offer soon on the analytics side. So look, I'm sure there's going to be some really exciting stuff happening there. People are going to really like it. In fact, Kristen, our designer, he loves all these different charts. In terms of sci-fi and GameFi, last week we had the call with Star Atlas and their community, and then yesterday we deployed the update to support the new Star Atlas marketplace, which has been super awesome. We do need to do the DAO, the Star Atlas DAO staking. That's something that's been on our list for quite a while, but I think we need to accelerate it. So yeah, I think that'll probably be another thing that we'll be doing very soon. So people can track their Polis staking as well. But yeah, we want to do more stuff with these GameFi projects, and I think Star Atlas is a great example of that. We've known them for a while. We've done a lot of stuff with them since the very beginning. We were the first to do their AR integration for their posters. And all of their different ships and pricing when it was on Serum, and now it's the new marketplace. So we've done a lot of stuff with them over the I guess the last year and a half. We want to do more. So yeah, more GameFi projects. I think they're great. They're also another great avenue for people to come into crypto without having to know everything about crypto. So yeah, more to come there.
I'm so excited about Star Atlas. Well, thank you, George, and thank you all again for joining us today. If you aren't already a member of Data Insights newsletter, please be sure to join by signing up. And if you aren't already, please join us on our Discord. Thanks again, and see you next time.
Thanks so much for being here, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.